Paralives looks way better than I thought, and I was thoroughly impressed, but at the same time became very, very frustrated, and I'll explain why in a bit. Paralives have been in development for a long time, and it's so exciting to finally be able to hit that install button and jump on in, even if it is just early access. But for some of you, that price is giving you pause. So I'll break down whether it's worth buying now, later, or skipping entirely. Quick thing before we dive in, my opinions are mine, not facts. Always pull from multiple sources when the money's involved, okay? Cool. Now let's talk about what Paralives is all about. Paralives is a new life sim game where you can build homes, friendships, family, and your career. What makes it different is the fact that it was backed entirely from Patreon supporters, and the dev team made sure to map out each new direction for the game monthly and even showed us gameplays during the development. The art style is fresh, there will be no paid DLCs, and lots of love and care went into making this game. So many people have been waiting on this game since it was first announced back in 2019 and have been following the journey ever since. And so seeing it finally released is such a joyous moment. When you start up the game, you're actually on a train headed to your destination. This will act as a tutorial and eventually where you can create your para. You learn how to move around, zoom, pan, and interact with objects. You will also see other para folks riding on the train as well. They're your new neighbors. And this is where you're able to see the variety from person to person. Like I said, I was really impressed with how good everything looks. Now, I was a little worried about the art style because even though it is fresh and new, it kind of looked a little comic bookish to me, and I wasn't sure how it would resonate. But after playing it, it looks really good, and honestly, it makes sense. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and create our very first para. You can also choose to play as one of the families on the train if you'd rather skip creating your own para, but honestly, this is one of the highlights of the game, so I wouldn't skip it. I will go ahead and create your first para. It is extremely easy to get lost in creating your para because the customization is actually insane. First, you're able to adjust your height, which hasn't been done in other life sim games, and so this was a bold move from the team, and it works. They've also added preteen in the mix, which is really interesting since it's always been from child straight to teen. There's sliders for the facial and body features so that everything can be placed in the perfect spot. You're also able to layer clothes, tattoos, almost anything when customizing. Honestly, there's so many options from freckles, scarring, cochlear implants. You can truly spend a lot of time just creating your para. They've also done a new thing with personality where you have 3 categories: vibe, social perk, and talent. Honestly, this is super simple and makes so much sense because one of the options for talent was like having none. And I hear that so much from my kiddos from school. Then you try out conversations, eating food, and then we meet the storytellers. These are the paras who affect the gameplay through either spicing things up a little bit, keeping it fair, or making sure you're protected. After you make your choice, you head to the town, and this moment was a beautiful moment. The town looks stunning and actually bigger than I thought. I love the castle theme and the color scheme of the town. It makes everything just feel so much more like cozy and less boxy, if that makes sense, since buildings are layered and angled in unique ways. I loved seeing the greenery climbing up the walls of towers and homes. Y'all, it was just a nice little touch. Then we have to decide if we want to buy a home or build a home. If you want to jump straight into playing, then buying a home is your best choice and it will already come furnished. However, building your home will allow you to see all of the new building features firsthand, and this game has really taken risks with the building tools like curved walls, for example. Once you start, you will have very simple tasks to do and it will be pinned to the right side, and so you're able to clearly see what's next. You will also get daily newspaper notifications, which will sometimes have different events to do. However, your first order of business is to get a job. Using your cell phone by clicking on your para will send you to the job listings and you're able to choose from there. After that, the town is yours. Make friends, fall in love, and climb the career ladder. And with that, let me talk about what the game is doing really, really well. Like I said, visually, this game is stunning and has such a cozy and relaxing charm. The buildings, objects, and Paris look great, and the town is actually more active than I thought it would be. There are so many cute shops like a bakery, flower shop, general store, restaurants, and more. What's even more special is the fact that some of the shops give daily freebies, like the flower shop, which has a daily free plant, and the general store that has 2 random cooking recipes that you can get. This makes you excited to return back to the stores to see what plant or recipe you'll get next. I think that was the pause for some people with this game, whether or not there are actual things to do besides just creating it all yourself. What I really like is that they've added the community center, museum, and bulletin boards. Similar to Stardew Valley, you can donate items to the community center and museum and earn rewards. You can also stop by the town's bulletin boards and see which pairs are in need of something, and you can earn rewards by filling those tasks as well. This causes you to explore more, cook more, and pay attention more. Now, what I wasn't used to was having card conversations. Your pair will chat with someone from the town, and you have to wait for the conversation bar to fill up, and once it does, you click on the exclamation point and choose between 3 topics, statements, or even questions. This is very limited to other life sim games, but what I do like is that the pairs stay in the conversation and don't just suddenly run off when you can't pick a topic fast enough. Now, this isn't necessarily my favorite way of having conversations, but I did appreciate the pairs staying and conversing. It's so crazy because in other games, I'm trying not to compare this game necessarily to other life sim games, but yeah, I would just be sitting there having a conversation. I would have to keep pausing and playing and pausing and playing, because if you don't, suddenly the other person you're talking to just run off and do something, and then now you gotta find them. So I do like that they stay put. Now, if you're the type who focuses on building and decorating, like 8 hours go by and you haven't even started the game because you're still trying to put clutter on the dresser, then you will love this game. The customization is incredible, and the ability to resize, change colors, and place items wherever you want is definitely worth it. Now, I cannot build houses like some of you can, but it was extremely easy, and they've added features like the invisible walls so that you can paint spaces on one wall separately. Mind-blowing. It's not completely perfect, but I love the customization. Every night, your storyteller will let you choose between a random perk card for the next day. I did like this because you're able to enhance certain things within the day, and you might get free things or even some random money. Now, you can choose how much money you want to start the game with through the storytellers at the beginning of the game, and so that was really cool also. All right, now let's talk about what gave me pause and frustrated me within this game. Now, I know that it is early access, and I completely understand that there will be bugs. That's what it's all about, playing the game while it's still being developed, reporting bugs, and sharing feedback. However, while I can ignore things like mild stuttering within the game, insane clipping, and random pairs moonwalking down the street, I cannot ignore things that make it extremely difficult to play. The camera is insufferable, and I get it. The very thing I absolutely love about the game, which is the layering of the town with the hills and the heights, it causes the camera to not know if we're up or down, left or right, inside or outside. It is really difficult to try to cook something on the stove, and you want to turn the camera around a little bit to get a good visual of the eggs you cook in, and then whoop, next thing you know, you're in the basement with 2 boxes. It's ridiculous. I thought it might have been the house that I had picked, which was pretty layered and thin, but no, it happened everywhere I went. Again, I know it's because there's so many hills and things that the buildings are sitting on, and so this is an adjustment, but it made it really difficult to play. What helped was turning on edge scrolling, adjusting the zoom speed, and holding down the scroll button on your mouse while you move around. It will still happen, just not as much. Now, even though I did say I liked the conversation aspect in ways, I did not like how limited the options were and how repetitive they got. I'm sure this will be enhanced later and we'll get more options, but for now, it was definitely lacking, and that causes the pairs of the town to feel more empty. It was also difficult building relationships with them when they're hard to find, and you can't invite them to your house, and so oftentimes you're just on a hunt looking for pairs. Now, someone did create a mod to help fix this, and like they said, it probably will be fixed in a future update. One other little thing was not being able to multitask. If you're already sitting on the couch and you turn on the TV, you can't actually watch it until you end the sitting action. Then your pair will stand up and then sit back down on the couch and watch TV. Now, this is literally nothing major, but I thought it was funny. Now, you guys know I had to test it out on the Steam Deck, and surprisingly, it's not as rough as I originally thought it would be. Now, I'm not saying it runs super great, but I would say you could play it in handheld mode without having too many issues. Sometimes the frames would drop, that's common, but for the most part, it ran smoothly. I did have to change the controls immediately because I wasn't able to rotate easily and the zooming in and out was kind of weird. So I made it so that the right analog stick rotated the screen, and I ended up using R4 and L4 to zoom in and out. As you probably guessed, this is a battery hog. And so after playing for about an hour and a half, I went from full battery to like 13%. I recommend keeping it plugged up or connecting it to a monitor or TV and playing it that way with a keyboard and mouse. Now, even though moving around wasn't as difficult as I thought, even building wasn't too bad either, it would be a much easier experience to use a keyboard and mouse with your Steam Deck. However, if you absolutely don't want to do that and would rather cuddle up on your couch and play, it's completely doable. You just have to be patient and take your time. Personally, I will be playing on both my PC and my Steam Deck moving forward, but what about you? The questions remain: who this game is for, and is it worth $40 US? In my honest opinion, if you're big with customization and you love spending hours and hours creating your character and even more hours building and decorating, then you will absolutely love Paralives, even in its early access state. They completely knocked this out of the park, and it's much more advanced than other games in the same genre. They took big risks and it paid off. However, if you're the type to hurry and jump immediately into gameplay because that's your favorite part of life sims, then I would recommend to hold off for just a little bit longer and save your coins. In Q4, we'll get new updates that will bring in weather, seasons, pools, pets, and much more, which will certainly help the game, have a little bit more substance. If you enjoy both customizing and gameplay, then I say go ahead and get it now. The reason being is that oftentimes early access games increase in price when the full game releases. Even if you get it now and wait a little while before you play it, it's still a win. Even just creating your para, building, and decorating has a lot baked into it, so you can definitely still have a fun time. But still, is it worth $40? Truthfully, I wish it was more like $20 because I do feel like $40 is a little bit much. However, we have to compare this game with other life sims that are most similar. So when Enjoy was released as early access March 27th of 2025, it was $40. Then we have Sims 4, which did not have an early access phase, but was extremely bare bones, and it was also released at $40 September 2nd of 2014. So to be honest, $40 sounds like the standard of life sim games, although I do wish it was $20. Again, this game has so many highlights, and I love that they've taken risks, been transparent about the process, and will continue to update this game with free DLCs and more content. I know that the bugs and camera issues will be ironed out soon, and so I have no worries there. I think this game has a ton of potential to be a new favorite life sim, and I'm here for it. Have you played it, or are you still on the fence? Drop a comment and let me know which direction you're going. If this video helped you at all, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more cozy content. I hope that you get some free time soon to actually sit back and enjoy playing some games, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!